Hello and welcome back to another CADclips series. In this series we're going to teach you all about design options. We're using REVIT Architecture 2011, but the lessons you will learn here can be applied to REVIT Architecture, Structure, or MEP. I'm also using a residential project to demonstrate this, really because it's a small model and it's easy to work with, but you can apply this to bigger projects, commercial, bigger structural, or MEP projects. It doesn't matter. It's the lessons that we learn about design options that you will then apply that to your own project. So this is a typical example where I have, a building and I want to try on different facades. So I want to have, different roofs and windows and porch and little detailing and stuff, and I want to be able to, within one project, it's very important that this is all within one model. If you ever try to parallel two projects in Revit and because you don't know how to use design options, so you say, well, I'll just do a save as and I'll provide another option but in a new file, you'll find that paralleling those two is extremely difficult going back and forth. So this is all within one project. So you can see here I've got option 1, which is the primary option. Will tell you what the significance of that is, but you can see it's got a roof with a kind of a jog, a little gable detail here, and two front gables on the front. Okay, and it's got casement windows. Then we have our option 2 where we've gone to just a hip roof. We've used some double hung windows, and we've taken off that little gable part on here. We can also change materials and railings and all that stuff. You can go to whatever lengths you want. Then we have an option 3 where we have front to back trusses with the gables on the sides, and we've gone to slider windows, and we've just made this lower roof just straight across without the jog. Then we have a 4th option which has a gable on one end just on the front here, and then hip the rest of the way around, and it has the straight roof with the kind of the hip over here. This one has the gable on the side. So just some little options inside of here. So these are all contained within the option facade. Then I also have around the back of the house, I have a Nook option where my primary option is to have just a little 2-foot bump out with a kind of a shed roof. Then I have an option 2 where I carry out the foundation, the floor, and the walls about another 4 or 5 feet just to create a little vestibule, and then I switch over here to be a gable roof running this way. And then the 3rd option is no Nook at all, which means that I basically got rid of it and filled in that, so there's really nothing there. So an example of really showing kind of an option of nothing, an option of a bigger vestibule and a little bump out. Okay, so this is the bottom part is in option set Nook. These guys are all in option set facade. So if I just quickly go over to my 3D view here, you can see by going down in here, I'll just switch between editing modes. This is the main model with the primary options showing. If I click on here, it'll show me, oh, I don't need to save, it'll show me all the parts that are part of option 1, and the rest of the stuff that's kind of grayed out is part of the main model. Now watch what happens. I'm going to go to facade option 2. There it is. Facade option 3, a little bit different again. Facade option 4. Okay, and you can move them the order, and you can promote one of these to also be the primary. That doesn't have to be the primary. You can promote one of these up if you change your mind, and then you combine that inevitably back to the main model. So there's your 4 front facade options off of here. Now if I just switch over to my back view and I go over to here, I'll say okay, the Nook, let's see the primary Nook. There it is. Those are my my components there. Okay, then I can say okay, the second option of the Nook is to have the bump out. Okay, this is looking at the main model with a perspective view, and then the 3rd option of the Nook is to basically just fill that in. And you can see the rest of the area here stays grayed out because that's part of the main model until I switch back to this view over here where it shows the main model and the primary. So that's just an example there of what we'll build and show you how to do all of this in the series. And from there we can take all of our views and put them on sheets and print them out and do whatever we want. So we'll talk about the process and philosophy of using design options. We'll talk about object interaction between the options. How do walls and roofs and how does this stuff all clean up and how do they associate to one another? Okay, so that's really important. And then we have views and how individual views work with design options and how you can hard code a view to only show one design option. Editing process, which is what we use down inside of here, and then moving objects from one option to the other. What happens if you want to, take something that's in this design option and move it to this design option? And that will depend on, if it's being hosted or not hosted, and we've got all kinds of tips and tricks. So come on back and we'll teach everything we know about design options.